Key players in the aviation sector are predicting a grim future for some Nigerian airlines, saying they may not survive the next 16 months if the issues that affect them are not addressed.
Well, according to them, challenges ranging from expensive aviation fuel, multiple charges, unfriendly government policies, and even the scarcity of forex all contribute to the poor performance of domestic carriers. Now, many domestic airlines have been forced to liquidate, and more could follow suit. But it is not only the domestic carriers that have been affected by the exchange rate fluctuation, as some foreign airlines, such as the United Airlines and Spanish carrier Iberia, have had to shut down their services.
All right, joining us in the studio to discuss this is the President, Air Transport Services Senior Staff Association of Nigeria, Illustrious Ahmadu. Good morning. It's nice to have you join us.
Good morning. Good morning, viewers.
All right. Now, the aviation in every country is something, domestic aviation is something that should be, a lot of experts have said that domestic aviation industry should be run by internal people or nationals and all of that, those companies and so on. In Nigeria, we see that a lot of airlines owned by Nigerians are not really functioning well.
Well, you're right. The reasons, the variable factors are quite enormous, aside the fact that most of the airlines have low capitalization. There are, like you said, operating challenges ranging from aviation, Jet A1, infrastructures, and the business model being deployed by most of the airlines. So it's not a Nigerian problem per se. It's a global phenomenon because there's no Nigerian aviation. What happens to a carrier in Nigeria, you can be assured would impact on the other carriers in other parts of the world.
But it seems that of Nigeria is kind of peculiar to it, really, because in over 50 years of aviation operation in the country, about 150 different airlines have packed up.
Yes.
And one would wonder why that is.
Yes, you know, we've experienced a number of policy change in Nigeria. The industry was negatively impacted between the period 2000-2003 because after the crash of the EAS airlines back 2011, you know, government came out with a policy phasing out some aircraft types and placing age limits on the operations of aircraft. And that affected a number of airlines in the negative. But so far as it
wasn't that supposed to be good news for the aviation?
Well, it's good news. It's not really, because you see, I can assure you, some of those equipments we phased out. Like for instance, we phased out the 737-200 series, which was operated then by a number of our carriers, including Chacha-Ngi and Bellevue, now First Nation.
What were the reasons?
After the crash. And we're talking about age of aircraft. But I can show you some of these equipments are still flying in other parts of the world. So it's not
about the
age per se. It's not about the age per se. But then, like I said, low capitalization, and that accounts for, let's say, 60% of the problem, because you see individuals coming up to float airlines, 1-2 aircraft airlines, which is not good for our jurisdiction. In other climes, you find governments putting limits on the number of aircraft a domestic carrier, AOC holder, should have. In the Asia Pacific countries, you see, you must have a minimum of 10 aircraft. Now, you know, government tried to introduce such policies, but it was met by huge resistance by industry. So, you know, there are a number of factors. Lack of maintenance, repair organizations in Nigeria to enable maintenance to certain level, like C checks. These are heavy maintenance. The cost of Forex, because the bulk of spares are imported, and if the Forex regime is unfriendly, you know, it will impact negative on the industry.
That is even affecting Nigeria's Forex reserves.
Yes. And the issue of Jet 1, inability to refine Jet A1 in Nigeria has impacted hugely. You spoke about the issue of multiple charges. That may not be the issue, I can assure you. You see, in this part of the world, people want to get away with everything. There's nowhere in the world you go where you do not pay for navigational charges, landing, parking charges, charges due to the aviation authorities. You pay tax to relevant government agencies. As long as you render services, you must comply with existing laws. Okay. That is not the issue. But here, even as I speak to you, the monies that these airlines collect on behalf of some of the agencies are not remitted. So what have they done with the unremitted funds?
They keep complaining about multiple taxation.
There's nothing like multiple taxation. ANSP, NAMA renders air navigation services. You must pay for it anywhere in the world. FAN renders a number of services to airlines. You must pay for it. You must pay for ground handlers. They don't even pay for ground handling services. They are owing SACOL, NACO, huge sums of money. And they've severally sought intervention of government to assist them recover their money. What I'm saying is that there is a lack of good corporate governance in the industry. You see, people invest in airline business. You know, as you're operating, a lot of money comes in. And if you're not, if you don't have direction, because part of this money has to be plowed back to expand the business. But people use money from this industry for purposes unrelated to this, and they come back, and government has injected several interventions.
There's been bailouts several times.
Several bailouts.
Because
so why has it not worked?
Yeah, that's a question I wanted to ask, to say that this airlines, they make lots of money. They fly every day and they make lots of money. And I know that the air tickets that you pay for, monies for different things have been factored. If you look at the breakdown, monies have been factored into all of these things, and then they still keep owing. So is this really a function of just corruption and nothing more than that?
I can assure you, like I said, bad corporate governance, because like you said, you rightly stated, let's take example, the ticket sales charge. The ticket sales charge was introduced by the Nigerian government as far back as the 80s to enable the establishment of a civil aviation regulatory authority that is independent of government funding. Because if you take money from, the CA takes money from government, there's a tendency that it might compromise. So the idea was to empower CA, and this practice is all over. Most countries in the world do that.
All right,
so
I wish we...
they collect this money and they don't remit. Like you said, this is money paid by air travelers.
I wish we had more time.
Air travelers.
I wish we had more time. I think we will try to get you to talk more about this, because airlines also somehow do not get to sell all their air tickets as well. So that is another question. We'll hope we get you again. Ilitras Amadu, President, Air Transport Services of Senior Staff Association of Nigeria. Thank you for your analysis.
Thank you so much.